just months after the game's release. Yoi was able to land on each bumper directly after flying in the air, leading to him bouncing up again. If he instead landed on the road, his speed would be dramatically decreased, so landing on the bumpers was pivotal. Of course, the bumpers themselves are super narrow, so landing exactly on them is no easy task. But Yoi was able to pull off a run of 36.45, flying around the track 3 times. All of this precision is obviously extremely difficult, and involved using a ton of small, undetectable strategies that I'll explain later. The record would come down a couple seconds over the following few years, but in 2005, an incredible time was achieved. A runner known as Mander pulled off a 34.63 in 2005, coming up with a new strategy of skipping the section of boost near the end and instead going more directly towards the goal. This strategy saved about a second across all 3 laps. To give you an idea of how hard this route was to pull off, we can take a look at the tutorial video for this route made by Super Circuit speedrunner Hahe. The player must aim just right for every jump, let go and press A at precise times, and even hold R to drift at certain points. Any slightly missed input means the strategy will fail, and the player must restart. Now, most of these strategies had to be performed regardless of whether Mander's or Yoi's route was used, but Mander's route did add an important section where you had to hold A, aim for a precise part of the road, launch off a bumper when drifting, and then countersteer just before landing. Basically, there was a world of precision that went into this Rainbow Road strategy. Getting all of it was incredibly difficult to pull off, but still definitely possible. Mander's record is a bit controversial in the Western world, mainly because he had used speed hacks in Mario Kart Wii before. What's more, Mander used Toad in his run even though he's slower overall, but he is easier to control. If Mander had used Bowser instead of Toad, his time would have been about 3/10 of a second faster. Regardless, Mander's time caused the rest of the community to strive for absolute perfection. It wasn't until 2010 when a player was finally able to beat him. The runner was known as Boomer, and he beat Mander by 1/10 of a second by playing with Bowser. His time would be tied 5 years later by Hahe, and then beaten by 0.03 of a second by a player known as Shock.